For years, scientists have embarked on an amazing journey that will never cease to amaze them and the whole world, from research on land to space to the oceans. Over time, scientists have made quite several wonderful discoveries that would have made you think there's nothing more anywhere than all that has been discovered on land, space, or the ocean. Let's not talk about the land or space. The ocean alone is full of mysteries, and what scientists just discovered has shocked the whole world. They have just found a huge mile-long structure moving underwater. This structure is reported to be an object that looks man-made rather than natural. It is estimated to measure more than 2.5 miles in diameter and is surrounded by what looks like massive tank tracks. It is speculated that the tracks, however, may be trenches or fortifications. That's not even what's shocking, but the circular object, which appears to have left a 41-mile track in its wake as it trundled across the floor of the North Pacific off the California coast. This discovery has left scientists shocked and baffled. What better place would another race or group of beings rather hide than in the deep of our oceans? That's what they thought. There's been much attention on the space for quite a long time, with scientists worrying about aliens or other life forms hiding there and watching us, but now even underwater? Scientists believe that a lot of mysterious UFO phenomena are happening in our oceans and that some of the tracks seem to be dug out by nothing natural. They think it doesn't make sense for a large circular object and an obvious path created by it to just disappear into a blurred out area, which makes sense. Considering that 70% of our planet is covered by water, there could be things going on in our oceans that we are unaware of. And yes, researchers are making some shocking discoveries like the underwater fossil graveyard. Let's try to imagine what the island of Madagascar looked like about 5,000 years ago. It's probably something like what you've seen in sci-fi movies, but all of that changed when humans arrived. Scientists' discovery has shown that there's a large underwater graveyard in Madagascar, and the largest they have ever discovered. The international team of researchers that made this discovery has uncovered one of the most incredible caches of fossils found on the island of 3 flooded caves. All 3 caves, Malazamanga, Avon, and Mitoho, are submerged underneath Simonepetsasa National Park. When the scientists thought they would find a great surf spot, they instead found the remnants of a lost world. No, don't imagine it as just a lost world, but a mind-blowing lost world because the formations would blow your mind. Crystallized geological formations are coming out of the walls, coming out sideways, said to look like spaghetti. Even scientists have seen nothing like it. The way the bones were discovered was a mystery on its own. They aren't damaged in any way, and they look really fresh. The bones of individual animals were also found closely grouped instead of the usual way bones are discovered, largely separated by several feet, leaving the scientists to solve a puzzle by piecing them together. The cause of extinction remains a mystery, as scientists have wondered if the presence of humans brought about the extinction of animals. They believe the animals uncovered in the cave died more recently and also coexisted with humans who first inhabited the islands in 500 BC. Though they could only guess what happened, hunting or habitat modification was suspected to be the cause. It's not so cool to know humans ruined one interesting world. Talking about a lost place, did you know that an ancient Chinese city is hidden underwater? In the depths of the Qiando Lake in China lies a beautiful sunken city that gives you the creeps for some reason. The city is known as Shaicheng, and it lies 140 feet underwater in Xinjiang province, 250 miles south of Shanghai. Built during the Eastern Han Dynasty, the historical buildings date back to the 2nd century. The name Xicheng means Lion City, which has long been forgotten since it was drowned. But recently, Xinjiang has come to be called the Atlantis of the East, named after the mythical underwater island. Let's not mix things up. Xicheng didn't succumb to the depths under mysterious circumstances like Atlantis. It was purposely flooded in 1959 to create a Xiang Dam, built to power a hydroelectric plant. But where did they put the people of the land, right? According to a report, nearly 300,000 people were relocated for the project, some of whom had families that had lived in the city for centuries. After the flooding, the city was forgotten and left untouched until 2001, when the Chinese government decided to see what might remain of the lost metropolis. It was discovered that the entire town was intact, including wooden beams and stairs. The city had 5 entrance gates, as opposed to the traditional 4, and its wide streets had 265 archways, featuring preserved stonework of lions, dragons, phoenixes, and historical inscriptions. There are plans to do something meaningful with this underwater city, but what do we do with a cursed underwater cave? A flooded sinkhole in southern Mexico frightens nearby villagers, keeping them far away from it. Even the ancient Maya seem to have kept their distance too. Why is everyone scared of this cave? Is it really cursed? A recent discovery has found a likely reason for its reputation, and you'll be shocked. For 2 weeks, archaeologists dived to find out about this mysterious cave. On their way down, they passed massive stalactites and the long roots of thirsty trees stretching toward the moisture below. For some reason, the locals have named this natural well Sac Uyam. The cenote sits just outside the ruins of the ancient Maya city of Mayapan, about 25 miles, 40 kilometers south of Mérida, the capital of the Mexican state of Yucatan. Scientists found the place quite intriguing, as well as they discovered about it. But before they could begin their dives, a shaman prepared for a traditional ceremony amid the steam from food offerings cooking on a fire. The ceremony is called Jits Lum, which means calming the earth. The ceremony is done to ask the gods for permission to enter the cenote and to placate the cenote's legendary guardian, an enormous feather serpent with a horse's head that the locals believe will snatch children who get too close. When the divers finally penetrated deep into the cenote, their motions created a spooky parallel to the clouds of steam as they swam. They stirred up the limestone sediment, which then clouded the water. At the same time, a limestone fog arose outside the cenote from a small fissure in the ground. Strange, right? When they got to the chambers, they finally saw what they believed might have been the reason everyone is terrified of the cave. The floors of its 2 chambers are littered with human bones. Well, I wouldn't go near the cave either. Who knows how the bones got there? That was shocking. A skeleton tea party. How would you feel if you saw 2 human skeletons having a tea party? Whatever came to your mind is probably what a diver felt at that site. He saw 2 skeletons tied to lawn chairs on the bottom of the Colorado River. There was a need for an investigation, which was conducted, and the discovery was more shocking. It was discovered that the supposed remains were the sort of plastic skeletons that might be found in a haunted house or biology classroom. Both wear sunglasses, and one sports a wig of bushy synthetic hair. The plastic bones are layered in thick sediment, seemingly left undiscovered at the bottom of the river for some time. They were both sitting facing each other. One of them was holding a sign with the words "Bernie" and "Dream in the River," with a date of 16th of August 2014, which is possibly when the skeletons were placed there. The sign could be a reference to the movie Weekend at Bernie's, in which the 2 main characters drag around their dead boss for days, losing and recovering his body several times. It's hilarious. Whoever placed the skeletons there sure wanted it to be funny or scary, but it turns out it was a combination of both. At least those scary plastics were placed there and were removed, but what about the sea devil anglerfish? Yeah, that's the name of a creature discovered under the ocean. On the edge of California's coast, in an underwater canyon deeper than the Grand Canyon, Monterey Bay hides a rare black sea devil anglerfish. The fish's toothy jaw and dead-eye stare will definitely creep you out, and you'd be shocked that this fish is just 3.5 inches long. It is so rare to sight this fish because of its small size, and also because it prefers to stay in the early deep sea. There may be more than 200 species of anglerfish, and while some can grow longer than 3 feet, most are less than a foot. For every species, the females carry a fishing pole-like spine topped with a glowing lure made of flesh. This feature earns the fish its name, as it uses the lure to attract prey close enough to be snatched up its toothed jaw. Males are ill-equipped for feeding, and their sole responsibility appears to be find a female and mate with her as soon as possible. The male anglerfish is typically much smaller than the female. Once he finds his female anglerfish mate, he bites into her belly and latches on until his body fuses with hers. The fish slowly swims, and because of that, we can say that it's an ambush predator. Even though it is a small animal, there's a way the sea devil anglerfish scares you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Do you love wine? The next discovery will make you want to grab a cup. Scientists discovered 168 bottles of champagne under the sea. Isn't that crazy? On top of that, the champagnes are 170 years old. In 2010, a group of divers in the Baltic Sea happened upon the remains of a sunken trade schooner just off the coast of Finland. Scattered amongst the wreckage 160 feet below the surface, they discovered a treasure sent from Dionysus himself, 168 bottles of French bubbly that had aged in near-perfect conditions for decades. Almost immediately, the local government claimed the bottles, but a team of scientists was able to obtain a small sample of the wine for testing and tasting. This discovery provides a unique lens into the past, offering information about conventional winemaking practices in the 19th century, as well as the likely destination of the lost trade ship. Although the labels had long since worn off, branded images on the interior surface of the corks gave the scientists the chance to identify the original vintners. Out of the several champagne houses represented was Vieux Cliquot Ponsardin, a popular brand that has existed since 1772 till date. The team carried out their analysis by comparing the older Baltic wine with the modern vintages. The result shows that the Baltic versions contained lower alcohol content and higher sugar levels than their modern-day counterparts. The researchers believe that the lower alcohol levels are a consequence of a colder average climate, which would inhibit grape maturation and overall levels of alcohol from sugar, as well as the use of a less efficient yeast product. Also, while individual grapes did not produce particularly high sugar yields, 19th century winemakers were also known to add a considerable amount of sugar to artificially sweeten their champagnes. The addition of sugar syrup at the end of the production process would have diluted the wine, but also possibly accounting for the lower alcohol content as well. To trace the origin further, the history of sugar consumption in different regions was studied. The Germans and French demanded more moderate sugar levels of approximately 150 grams per liter, while British and American connoisseurs preferred even lower levels of around 20 to 60 grams per liter. Based on the measured sugar content of the Baltic wine, the researchers believed that this particular shipment was probably destined for the Germanic Confederation, whose constituents preferred more moderately sweetened champagne. Alright, listen to this. That is a creepy sound from the deep. Since the sound was heard and recorded from the deepest part of the ocean, scientists have been wondering what the sound means and where it came from. They speculated for months, and finally, they were able to identify the most likely source of the creepy audio recording from the deepest part of the ocean. According to a new study, the eerie 3.5-second recording was picked up by an autonomous vehicle deep in the Mariana Trench and is a new type of baleen whale call that no one has ever heard before, and it's still not clear what it actually means. The recording features 5 different sounds ranging from metallic to biological and has been nicknamed the Western Pacific biotwang. The low-frequency moaning part is a typical of baleen whales, a sound not heard in a long time. Since the researchers are not sure where the sound really came from, they have speculated that the sound might be from a ship or seismic air guns, but after thorough research, they discovered that the sounds are not similar. They also found out that they are not similar to geophysical sources, like very low-frequency sounds produced by earthquakes and ice, or by wind and rain. The sound was compared to a sound recorded on multiple occasions from autumn 2014 to spring 2015 in the Marianas Trench Marine National Monument. The best clue the researchers could have was the minke whale Star Wars call. It sounds just as alien as this more recent recording. The researchers say that based on similarities in frequencies and structure, the Western Pacific biotwang likely comes from the same type of animal. The dwarf minke whales are a subspecies of common minke whale which belong to the larger class of baleen whales. They are also known to make boings, a different type of sound to the Star Wars call, but equally as weird, so it looks like their repertoire of vocalizations is even more complex than we thought. That would have solved the mystery, but it didn't because the baleen whale calls are often related to mating, which means they're mainly heard during the winter, but the Western Pacific biotoing was recorded throughout the year. This has put the researchers to work as they now search for animals responsible for this sound and why they are making the sound. If you think that was shocking, the case of the disappearing shipwrecks would shock you more. Since 1942, the wreckage of 6 warships and a submarine have lain on the bottom of the Java Sea, but now they can't be found. The vessels, which included 3 Dutch ships, 6 British ships, and a US submarine, all sank during the Battle of the Java Sea in World War II, when Allied forces suffered a huge defeat at the hands of the Imperial Japanese Navy off the coast of Indonesia. What brought the disappearances to light was the 75th anniversary of the battle, when the Ministry of Defense announced that the wrecks had completely disappeared. Naval researchers used sonar to create a 3D map of the seabed where the shipwrecks once lay, and while the vessels are no longer there, the indentation they left on the seafloor is still visible. Was that a result of theft, or is there something going on in the sea that we don't know about? We need to wait for the researchers to discover. But in the meantime, let's talk about the yellow brick road found in the sea. While archaeologists were conducting research north of the Hawaiian Islands, they discovered an ancient dried-out lake bed paved with what looks like a yellow brick road. This was discovered while surveying the Liliuokalani Ridge close to the National Monument. This national monument is one of the largest marine conservation areas in the world, larger than all the national parks in the United States combined, and scientists have only explored about 3% of its seafloor. When the researchers found the yellow brick road, one of them said it was the road to Atlantis. Despite being located under 1,000 meters of the ocean, the lake bed discovered by researchers on the summit of the Nakutas Seamount looks surprisingly dry, almost like baked crust, according to the research team. It really looks like it was a road, but a closer look shows that a volcanic rock has fractured in a way that looks strikingly similar to bricks. Even though we now know it's no road to Atlantis, it sure can be a road that leads to more shocking discoveries, like a rare megamouth shark. This animal was first identified in Hawaii over 40 years ago, and only one has been noted in West African waters. Altogether, only about 100 examples of this species has been recorded. The 3.8-meter male shark brought in by a canoe fisherman in a remote town who reported that the shark is dead after becoming entangled in an abandoned drift net. Megamouth sharks are the smallest of the 3 filler-feeding species alongside whale sharks and basking sharks, and have been found in various parts of the Indo-Pacific region, though mainly around Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines. The megamouth is listed as the least concern for conservation because it has very little population data. It is vulnerable to overfishing because it grows slowly, reaches sexual maturity late, and has low rates of reproduction. The specimen found was thought to have been approaching sexual maturity, but because it was reported dead, it was sold off. If the researchers ever found a way to get a new species, they would be able to learn a lot about it, like its movement pattern, feeding, changes in distribution, and so on. Next is the world's oldest intact shipwreck. Before now, there's a way the concept of shipbuilding and seafaring in ancient times was understood, until the discovery of the ancient Greek shipwreck called Odysseus, the oldest of its kind ever found. The 70-foot ancient Greek trading vessel was found lying whole with its mast, rudders, and rowing benches intact after more than 2,400 years in 2018. The Odysseus shipwreck was not found in a place that is strange for shipwrecks. It is a well-known shipwreck graveyard in the Black Sea that has already revealed over 60 other vessels. A remote-controlled submarine pilot by British scientists spotted the ship lying on its side about 50 miles off the coast of Bulgaria. The ship was found in over 1.3 miles of water deep in the Black Sea, where the water is oxygen-free and can preserve organic material for thousands of years. This explains why this old shipwreck remains intact after such a long time. A small part of the vessel has been carbon dated, and it has been confirmed that it's from approximately 400 BC. Making the ship the oldest intact shipwreck known to mankind. The ship could shed new light on the ancient Greek tale of Odysseus tying himself to a mast to avoid being tempted by sirens. A vase shows Odysseus, the hero from Homer's epic poem, tied to the mast of a similar ship as he resisted the sirens' calls. This discovery especially shocked scientists as the vessel remains intact, but what shocked them more was when they discovered, during a July 2011 voyage to the Pacific Ocean's Mariana Trench, researchers and National Geographic engineers documented the deepest known existence of xenophyophores, single-celled animals exclusively found in deep-sea environments. Xenophyophores are noteworthy for their size, with individual cells often exceeding 4 inches, their extreme abundance on the seafloor, and their role as hosts for a variety of organisms. They are discovered by the use of a drop cam. The drop cams are versatile autonomous underwater cameras containing an HD camera and lighting inside of a glass bubble. The purpose of its invention is to allow scientists and filmmakers to capture good quality footage from any depth of the ocean. The researchers spotted the life forms at depths of up to 10,641 meters, which is equivalent to 6.6 miles within the serene deep of the Mariana Trench. What is shocking is that the previous depth record for xenophyophores is about 4.7 miles in the New Hebrides Trench. According to recent studies, trapping particles from water can make xenophyophores concentrate high levels of lead, uranium, and mercury, and are thus likely high resistant to large doses of heavy metals. They are also well suited to a life of darkness, low temperature, and high pressure in the deep sea. The Yonaguni Monument. The Yonaguni Monument is a big underwater rock formation that covers an area of 60 by 50 meters. It was first discovered by a scuba diver in the mid-80s while he was looking to observe hammerhead sharks. The Yonaguni Island area is a popular place for scuba divers, so it is no wonder that this structure was discovered by a scuba diver. These days, divers travel to explore the mysterious Yonaguni pyramid-like structure and its surrounding artifacts. Pseudo-archaeologists believe it to be a monolith carved by a man thousands of years ago. Due to the heavy incrustation of coral, it was difficult to determine exactly what it was. The scuba diver got curious as to what the structure is. He encircled it again and again, taking photographs of the structure before returning to shore. Scientists then took it up and studied the site for years. They collected data to get an answer, but while the findings were profound, doubts ensued. Is it an underwater city, or is it a rock formation that was naturally built? No one knows to this day. Now the most shocking discovery, the underwater river. How is that even possible? How can there be water underwater, right? Under the Cenote Angelita Cave in the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, flows an incredible river. This beautiful river flows to the presence of hydrogen sulfide. This water is heavy water that is reported to be heavier than salt water. It is deposited at the bottom of the river until forming a distinct layer, creating a proper underwater river. Adding to the beauty of the river is the colorful foliage and branches of the nearby trees, which float along the banks of the river thanks to the density of the water. Just like the cenote that was discussed earlier in the cursed underwater cave, it is a cave with fresh water. It is also used to define karst sinkhole phenomenon widespread in other parts of the world, especially in Central America. The ancient Mayan people considered the cenote sacred, using them to celebrate religious rites, including violent human sacrifices. It is advised that only experienced divers go to the cave because visiting the cave is not easy. For the first 20 meters, it is filled with clear water, then becomes murkier and murkier. The dive into the cave goes as deep as 55 meters below the surface, which is why not every diver should go in. As shocking as these discoveries are, a larger percentage of the ocean is yet to be explored, which means we might have more shocking discoveries in years to come.